Yeah.
Okay, whatever you want.
I want that. I want you to be in the light.
He's a guru.
Yeah.
He's the guru.
Craziness.
So let's welcome our improv guru of the evening, Dave Razowsky!
Why don't you introduce yourselves, because there's some people that know who you guys.
I'm Virginia. I'm Erin. And we're from the troupe Awkward Face, and we perform Saturday nights here at European Theater, Oakland's Improv Theater. So thanks for coming out tonight to learn more from our guru and learn about improv. Thank you so much. David,
Yes.
you are a very humble guy, but you have quite an impressive list of achievements. And for folks that maybe aren't completely familiar with your work, if you could talk a little bit about like your favorite highlights of your acting, writing, teaching career.
I was at the careers. I'm glad you said it because really, like, I always think about what is it that I want people to know about me, and I think it's really important that anybody listening to this or watching this, whether they're going to be watching it, knows that I am not my story.
Right.
I am not, what I'm about to tell you, that's not who it is that I am. That's just part of who it is that I am. Those are things that I've done. And the reason I'm telling you this is, I want you to walk away from this knowing that whatever it is, whoever it is that you think you are, you're not that. Okay? I'm sorry, you're not. That's the story that you tell yourself who it is that you are, and that's okay. But what that also allows you to do is surrender that, let go of that, move on from that anytime that you don't like it, which could be all the time. So for me, these are things that I've done. So these are facts, but they're not necessarily truths of who it is that I am. I was in the Geese Theater Company when I was 25 years old. That was a theater company that performed around the country doing theatrical improvisation in prisons. I did that for a year. When I was 8 years old, my dad said, "You either play guitar or you go to theater." Because right now I'm spending $6 an hour on guitar lessons, and money's expensive. And I'm like, great. And so when I was in 4th grade, I decided theater was what I wanted to do. I was lucky enough to have I was lucky enough to be in a theater company where I was the child amongst, I always got cast in the roles of the child in that, and so I did that. I have a degree in photojournalism. I've been a photo editor of a paper. My friend Brian Johnson is here, and he was responsible for me losing one of the only times I've ever gotten fired from a job. Because he came up from Princeton to DeKalb and said, "Let's do acid instead of you doing your photo assignment." And I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I did that for a while, not acid, but I did acid for a while. This is what happened. What happened to me was, at one point, I decided, I got a book, and it's called Buddhism Plain and Simple, and that book was by a guy named Steve Hagen, and a Buddhist monk in Minnesota, of all places. And that's when I read that book, my life totally changed. It totally changed, and it changed to this where it was my art became my life and my life became my art. The fact is that I became on this spiritual journey. The spiritual journey was really about how improvisation is Buddhism and how Buddhism is improvisation. And once you get both of those things together and you take it outside of the theater and outside of the classroom and you start living your life in that way, then it's, I get really choked up about it. You are no longer on the earth anymore, that you're just floating above the earth. And things that normally your ego would get in the way, you're not attaching that anymore. And so when I teach improvisation or when I'm improvising, I don't care what the outcome is. All that I care about is I'm here with you right now, and I'm in this moment right now, and I have no idea, nor do I care what the outcome is going to be. All I know is right now, I fucking can't believe that I'm on this stage in this room with the two of you in front of all these people, some face I recognize, and some that I don't, and some that I should, and some that I don't. And all that I know is that's what I'm doing. And so so that's what I teach. So when it comes about improv guru, I look at that and I go, that's funny. I my thing was, I really like that picture, and then Laura said I should have that mustache again, and that's all that matters. But I was the artistic director of the Second City LA for 10 years. I was in main stage. I was a resident company at Second City in Chicago. I'm from Chicago, I live in Los Angeles now. Did I answer?
Yeah.
What kind of drew you to improv in the first place? It sounded like your father pushed you into theater.
My father and my mother, they didn't push me into theater. What they really did was my dad really wanted me to have a job and to get a career that, you know, that you can fall back on, that sort of thing. But he was always somebody that really wanted to do theater himself. And when my dad was 65, he said, you know what I'd like to do? I want to do some theater. And I said, all right. And I was in LA at the time, and I hooked him up with my agent in Chicago. And he's 80, and he has not stopped working. He's in a Steak and Shake commercial. Last year, we made $30,000 on a PSA. Who the fuck does that? On a PSA for like vaccinating children. And it's like, yeah, well, I got the money, I don't need the money. It's like, shut up. Shut up. But my dad is doing acting, and he calls me up on the phone, and he'll say, I got this audition and that audition. And I'm like, great, I checked out a website today. That, and then I hit refresh, and then there was different things. Yay! The New York Times changes like every hour. Please come on. What was your question?
How drew you to improv?
Oh, what drew me to improv? What drew me to improv was I had been taking improv as a kid, and then doing theater from there, and then I went to college. And my fifth year of college, I decided that I wanted to audition for a show at my fifth year of college. We went to the same college, NIU. And my fifth year of college, I decided, because I worked with the Northern Star. I was there, the photo editor for 2 years.
Before you took acid and got fired.
What's that?
Before you took acid and got fired.
After. I got rehired. That's because I wanted to, and they rehired me. So then I became photo editor, and then I got to fire people like, what do you mean you're drunk? So, so I left there, and I went to Chicago, and Chicago, everything was blooming in Chicago at that time. It was, a Steppenwolf Theater was happening, Organic Theater, Remains Theater, like these great theater companies were happening, and so I decided to go to this place called Improv Olympic. I.O. at that time, this guy named Doug Close that was there, and I had no idea who he was, and I went right from performing in, I did the Bacchae, and I did a couple Shakespeare shows in Chicago, and I went to this audition for this company called Geese Theater Company, and we did non-comedic improvisation mask work in prisons across the United States, and they hired me, and I was on the road with them for a year. I was 25, and then I went to Chicago, and that's where I met Del and hung out with those people for a couple of years. So Del Close, who's a lot of people look at him as a guru. I do not look at him as a guru, but a lot of people do look at him as a guru. And that, like the Geese Theater Company, changed my life because it got me very physical. We lived in a 1963 51-foot International Harvester 3-speed school bus, and we lived in national parks and truck stops, and we did Rikers Island and Centralia, Vandalia, Joliet Correctional Center. We did Danville. We did federal joints and juvie joints, and we did women's joints and all that, doing mass work in that. And that became it became guerrilla theater at that time. And I loved it. I just loved it. And I loved it for a year, and I got burned out, fucking fried, burned out. Because how much of that can you take? Because these people's lives are really fucked up. I don't know, you think that people in prison, their lives are okay, but they're not. and you talk to these people, and you're living their lives, and you're improvising their lives, and you're very insulated. in that, and in that insulation, you're jumping into their passions and their emotions and their truths, and you're 25 years old. And for me, I smoked 2.5 packs of cigarettes a day, and I ran for 40 minutes a day, and I did slap rope walking and learned juggling and all that stuff. And it was just awesome. And if anybody's listening to this saying, what can you do with your life? You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. What's in front of you? Do that. Do that. Because so often somebody will say, hey, do you want to go to this thing? And you're like, no, I'm busy. Like, really? Are you busy, or you just don't want to do it? Just do it. Because when I was that age, it changed my life. And these experiences that we have change our lives, and we don't give it permission to, because we don't say yes to it. But the minute I did that, and I left that, and then I went back to Chicago, and then I studied with Dell. And then I did I.O., and I was the second Herald on the second Herald team, and I met Mick Napier and all those guys, and we started the United Theater, which just changed the face of theater. And then I started doing Second City, and at that time, there was Second City, there was I.O., there was Dudley Riggs, there Gotham City Limits. That's it. And nowadays, you walk into a Starbucks and there's an improv company there. You go to have your syphilis taken care of, and they have an improv company at the medical center. Am I the only one? Oh yeah, right. I guess just to know it, right? But you know what I mean? Like all that aside, but there's so much theater going on right now, and there's so much improvisation going on right now. It's just such an exciting time to be alive right now. There's this thing called an iPhone. I don't know if anybody has them. They're very cool, and they change a lot. But it's just such a great time to be in improvisation. It's such a great time to be in theater. And what I offer in theater or improvisation is the idea that it's theater. That all improvisation is acting. And I don't give a fuck about your structure. I don't give a fuck about the game of the scene. I don't care about any of that stuff. Because all of my spiritual teachings, all my spiritual journeys have fused with improvisation, and I don't care. I don't care about being funny. I don't care about getting exposition out. All that I care about is, are you present at that moment when we're improvising? Are you with me in that moment, or are you thinking that the scene should go in this direction? Because there is no should, and I don't want you to should on yourself. And when I hear you should on yourself, I just want to grab you and go, stop it, just stop it, stop it, stop it. And if you want to fight with me, that's fine. But at the end of the day, I'm right. And one day you're going to go, you know what, he's right. And it's not important that I'm right. What's important is that you walk away knowing more about what your voice is, because I'm the midwife to your voice. That's who I am. My job is to give you permission to vocalize who it is that you are. And I don't care if you're a dentist or a doctor or an improviser. I don't care about any of those things. What matters to me is we're all human underneath all of that, and we're here to experience life. And I experience life through improv. So when people come to my drop-in class, Wednesdays 4 to 7 at Theater Asylum in Hollywood, when people come to my drop-in class, they say, do I have the experience to do it? And I go, are you a sentient being? Are you retarded? If you're retarded, sure, come. It's going to be a little harder for you, but you won't know the difference. So for me, I'm like, just come to the class. Did I say something? Are we done?
With that question, sure. I had the privilege to take a few of your intensives, which I really found valuable. And one of the things that struck me as particularly beautiful was when you said that skills for improv, or tools for improv, are like tools for love.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
It is.
One day I realized, a couple of things that I realized. One thing that I realized, and I'm going to get into what we do. One thing I realized is, all the words that you love to say use the same muscles that you use to kiss. Like, lips, like all lips. That was one where I was like, yeah, right. So, and another one was all the tools that you use, or the muscles that you use in improvisation are the same muscles, the muscles that you use, the muscles that are successful in scene work are the same muscles that you use in love. The idea that someone that you love, someone that you love talk to you, they touched you, they're near you, they're far away from you, they say your name. They don't say your name. They're talking to somebody else. They're talking to somebody else about you. They're talking to somebody else and they're not talking about you. All those things that drive you toward that connection where you're in love with somebody and that person is doing this, is just like, I'm talking to you and I'm like, so we're in love and I do that, and it's like, and all that you're thinking is, he's touching me, right? Like those sort of things, like this has to matter. So all those things that matter, in it, like it's the idea of everything matters. And in love, everything matters. And in improvisation, everything matters. So if you want to say what makes you a good improviser, it's the same thing. What makes you fall in love? What makes you connect to love? What makes you love love? What makes you, what impassions you? What energizes you about love? Like those are the same things about that. And when you're up here, if you're not vulnerable, you're vulnerable as a human being, or vulnerable, say as an actor. If you're not vulnerable up here, you're not going to feel those things. And if you don't feel those things, then your partner, your lover, your partner, your boyfriend, whatever it's going to be, is going to be turned off by that and not feeling the connection with that. And if you don't, then that scene's not going to be working. And one of the great things about that is, when you have a theatrical background and you're doing improvisation, you're looking at things in a very different way than if you are trained by improvisers to improvise. Because when I'm trained by an improviser to improvise, I'm missing that level of theatricality that is brought in by somebody who is an actor teaching me to improvise. And I've said it before, we're the toothpaste is out of the tube. And there's not, like, I can't make it good, there is no good, there is no right, there is no wrong, there just is. This is the education that I'm getting at this moment, this is the direction that I'm getting at this moment, this is the guidance that I'm getting at this moment from this improv teacher teaching the improv. I have realized, and this is just me, that I need an actor to teach me to improvise. So when I'm working with Chicago actors, when I'm working with Chicago actors, when I'm working with people that are actors improvising, that's what I love. But if you're all that you're concerned about is, and again, there's certain people at a theater company that I'm not going to say what the name is, but they do not return my phone calls because I'm sure they've heard my feeling about things. And so when it comes to working through the game of the scene, I won't say this, the game of the scene and the cleverness of that, I have trouble playing with you because you're not listening to me. You're not emotionally listening to me. You're just concerned of how do I set up this next joke. So right now I'm talking to you and you're not paying attention to me. And I need for you to be present with me. Now I need for you at this moment to love me. That's what I need.
We all do.
Yeah, I don't care, but thank you. But you know what I mean? But I'm going back to
Yes.
the way you were saying what brought us into that. I need for you at this moment to love me and not to, or for your character to love me, or for your foundation, your basis for your acting to be that of everything that David's saying matters, everything that I'm saying matters, the position that we're in matters, where we're standing with each other matters. I love viewpoints. The concept of the training of viewpoints, because viewpoints teaches you the spatial relationship that we have, the shape that you've got, the emotion, the tempo that you have, the gestures that you're using. All those things matter. And once I realize that all those things matter, then I can control those things. But if I know that you know that what we're working on together, we both know those that have that training, then I know that, follow me on this one, I know that you know that I am watching you in a way that the audience doesn't know that I'm watching you in that way. So if all of us know viewpoints, and you are nodding to me, and you are engaged in repetition and tempo of gesture, I'm going, okay, Virginia's engaged in repetition of tempo and gesture, and I know that she knows that I know that she knows that you're doing that. What just happened? Right, do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? But if I'm just going, okay, you're working on the game of the scene, it's not enough for me, because when the game of the scene is over, if we don't have the scene, then, that's it, and we're done. And it's like me, and I've said it before, but it's like you invited me over for turkey dinner, and I walk away going, in the car going, I'm still hungry, and I'm going, yeah, you just gave me Pringles. And I go, what just happened? I'm still hungry.
Well, and I kind of find that we do theatrical improv here,
Yes,
and people come here, it's been my experience, or at least my thought, that people expect kind of the whose line is it anyway, or a joke sort of thing. Why do you think people think that is the only way to do improv?
Because they don't know, and it's okay. But I think what's important is that when I come to Pan Theater, I know that I'm not going to see that. Or rather, to say that in a non-negative way, or a positive way, I guess that's the way to say negative. If I'm watching it, I'm going to come to Pan Theater and know that what I'm going to see is truth. And I'm not going to see, and that I'm going to come here and have a really great meal that's not going to be Pringles and Snickers. I'm going to come here and there's going to be something deeper in this, and that is, for me, and it's again, what the other people, what other theater companies do, that's all great. That's not what I'm going to go to see. But when I come here and see that, the audience wants what they get. And so when I come here and I go to Pan Theater, and I see depth and relationships and emotion and connection and all that, I'm going to have a laugh. But there's going to be times where I'm not going to have that laugh. And our setup, our setup is, or the setup here is that you're going to come and see acting. And that's what you're going to come to see. And if you want to see Whose Line Is It Anyway, I think you can get it on DVD. Or if you want to see Comedy Sports, and I'm not knocking Comedy Sports, then you can go to Comedy Sports and see that. I'm sure there's a bunch of them here. And I know Comedy Sports people, and I know theater sports people, and all that. And I love theater sports people, and I love theater sports, and I love all those people that do improv theater through Keith Johnstone and that sort of work. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I want deeper. I want more than that. Because when I go see some shows, I just want to stand up in the audience and go, really? Fucking really? You just said that you have a dick the size of a Coke can and everybody laughs? I'm sorry. There's a theater in LA, I'm not going to tell you the name of it, but there's a theater in LA and people are lining up down the street, and when I go to see that theater and I don't know anybody in the audience, I don't know anybody who's lining up, and I've been in LA for 18 years, I go, this is going to be a troubled show. Because everybody that's coming to the show is going to watch, and they're looking for laughs, and everybody's laughing, and I'm going, look at the king. The king is in the all together. He's got no clothes. The emperor has no clothes. I wish I had an opinion about it. I know. And if you're part of that, again, God bless. Do what you want. And I'm not knocking it, but it's not for me. It's just not for me. And I heard Mick Napier saying on a podcast with, on the Improv Nerd podcast with Jimmy Crane, saying, I love that, it's such a great podcast. It's really, really good. And Nick said, I don't watch TV. He said, I don't watch TV.
Oh, and I heard that one.
Yeah. And he said, I don't watch TV. I don't know what it's about. I know there's some shows that people talk about. He said, I've never seen Mad Men. He said, I've never seen 30 Rock. And I go, I get it, man. I fucking get it. I get it. Most of the shows that I watch are, well, first of all, when I first came to LA, I was really excited to watch these shows because I didn't feel jealous that I couldn't get on these shows because it's mostly like larger animals eating smaller animals. And I know I couldn't audition for that. And now I watch Chef Ramsay's show, and I'm not about to open up a restaurant, so I'm not guilty, feel jealous about that. But for the most part, I don't care about TV. And I know that Nick doesn't care about that either, because it's not about that for us. For us, it's about the energy that comes into putting the improvisation theatrical experience together. What was your question?
I think I'd ask about the joke.
Right.
Definitely.
And yes.
I definitely answered it. I over-answered it.
That's
There's
always
extra
good.
answer. If you have any questions that need answers, use some of that.
Right. Edit it later.
Yeah, edit it later. Fix it in post. Right.
Well, I wanted to ask you about, you talked about your relationship, or the relationship between improv and Buddhism for you. And do you have any tips or ideas or advice on how to, be that egoless or not attached and be that present? Because sometimes it's hard to do.
It is. It's so hard to do. And what I think people really need to know is there is no right, there is no wrong in that. That it's all a practice. And the great thing, the exciting thing is, like every moment that you're alive, you get to start that practice. You get to say, right now I'm going to try that. Right now I'm going to live that life of non-attachment to what it is that I have in this moment. And I think that one of the things that you have to realize is the greatest moment, so say that the scene starts out and y'all are on the other side of that door. So y'all aren't y'all, that's the way that we talk in Chicago. Y'all are on the other side of that door and you're about to enter the stage. And I think about this idea, what are you doing with the time that you're over there? Emotionally, what are you spending? What are you spending your energy, your calories on over there? Are you spending your calories on saying, okay, this show, the last show that I did sucked, so I have to be better. Last show that I did, I was funny, so I have to be funny. Last show that I did didn't have Debbie in the audience, whoever the fuck Debbie is, and Debbie's in the audience now. Last show was my last show, and I said that was going to be my last show, and now it's not my last show. Last show I sucked, last show I good, whatever it was going to be. Or are you going to be backstage right there, and are you going to say to yourself, I'm here. The greatest moment of my life, the greatest moment every day that I improvise or teach or wake up is the moment that we'll say that, I'll use that door as an example. When I'm on the other side of that door about to enter the stage, life could not be more perfect because there's nothing. There is no right, there is no wrong. It's the purity of that moment. So I enter that door and I walk in the room and my system, my artistic system, my inspiration, my creativity tells me to stop right there. Right? So I stop right there. The why do I stop right there, or how come I stop right there? That fucking doesn't matter. What matters is I stop right there. So what am I going to do with that? I'm going to celebrate the fact that I stopped right there. And I'm going to be inspired by my stopping right there and create from the fact that I stopped right there. And if you're over here and I'm over there, you know what that means? That you're over here and I'm over there. That doesn't mean that I'm coming over there. What that means is this space that we have right now, I get to fucking play within that space. And the audience wants me to come over. So am I going to do that? No! No, because you know why? I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. You know what I mean? Like they want me to come over. Great. Great. I'm not gonna. And then when I do, I better be ready for that next thing that's going to come. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you want to live that life of being in the moment, you know what you've just done? You've just set it up so you can live that life of being in the moment. If you want an epiphany, you've had it because you said you wanted it. Do you understand what I mean? So at that moment, if you want to say, well, you know what, I'm going to do tomorrow, I'm going to be more present. It's like, fuck you. Be more present now, douchebag. You want to be more present. This is the time. Why are you waiting for tomorrow? You know, it's not like your life starts tomorrow. Your life is now. It doesn't start now. There is no beginning. There is no end. There is just this time that is right now. And we don't realize that. And every time, and one of the great things about doing a show at Second City is, and I was talking to, so I have this podcast called ADD Comedy Podcast with Dave Razowsky and Ian Foley. And on this, I got these great people that come into my apartment and talk to me. I don't have anybody come over to my apartment. They come over to my apartment and they talk to me. And yesterday I had Carl Gottlieb on, who was a screenwriter for this great movie. You might have heard of it called Jaws. And he came over to my apartment. And we were talking about being present and being in the moment and realizing in that moment and all these things that come to you in your life at that moment and be able to grab onto it. And he's grabbed onto every fucking thing. It's craziness. But he just let these things and said yes to it and said yes to it and became present to it. And I said, how is it that you've done all these things? And he'll say, an opportunity will come to me and I'll think to myself, have I done that before? And if I haven't, then I get to do it. So he wrote Jaws. And he also was the ghostwriter for 2 of David Crosby's autobiographies of Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. That's crazy. Isn't it? It's crazy. And here's something you have to realize. He's just a person. And so are you. You know what I mean? If you think, oh, that's somebody else's life, you're wrong. But you're right. But you're wrong. But you're right. But you're wrong. That's your life too. Those abilities of saying, this is the day that I'm going to change. Then you get to change that day. And then tomorrow is going to be different because today you changed. But if you're waiting for it, if you're going, tomorrow I'm going to do it, good for you. What you just realized is you get to do it today. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Tomorrow there is no tomorrow. No. Yeah. And here's another thing that I realized. This here. It's really exciting. This is what I realized. There is no such thing as next. Okay, so say that you're the butcher, like I go to a butcher, right? Say that I'm a butcher, and I'm standing in line, and you say, next. I'm not next. I'm now. That guy's next. I'm fucking now. Crazy. Right now, that's me. Now, next, it's like, why would you skip me? I'm now. Why would you skip me? All right, you go. I thought I was now. Right? Nobody's ever calling now. But you know what people need to do? Call now. Yeah, because now is in the moment. That's the moment. And anytime that we go, okay, right, I get to live in the now. Because I'm not going to live in the next. There is no next. Yeah, right.
How has yes and changed your life?
Again, the opportunity that somebody said, what was it the other day? And someone said, you want to do this? And I went, I can't. And I went, yeah, I can. It's changed my life in that it's open, and I've been doing it for so long that I don't even think about it anymore. I used to say, I can't do that, or give a reason not to do that, and now I say yes. But the important thing isn't just saying yes. The important thing is saying yes and. Because I can open myself up toward that next thing, but I also have to open myself up toward that, embracing that moment that I have, and then saying, what is coming next? What is here? Not next. What is now? 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 And when you're surrounded by people, and this is the important thing, to be surrounded by people who are also living in that yes and. Because you know what it's like to be with, the only mistake you make in improvisation is casting. So if you want to have a shitty groove, great, you had it. You know, that's it. Because all that matters in improvisation is, it's not like, well, that person has the barn, and that person has the costume, and that person has the sound system. It's like, all that you get in improvisation is everybody saying yes and to you. So what I've realized was, it's changed my life not just in theatrically, but it's also changed my life and the people that I hang out with. Because I'm going to hang out with people that are negative. I'm going to go, wait a minute, why is it that every time I see you, my stomach hurts, or I feel like I have the runs? It's because I don't know what is going to happen with you, and you're a lit fuse, but not in a good way. So I'm going to hang out with people who are just going to keep saying yes to something, and to that, to say, let's go out to this place, and we're going to do that as well. So when I'm here in Oakland, for example, I'm going to check out that restaurant and that restaurant because you guys have given me the yes. You've invited me to that, and then I get to do all these other things, and I get to bring it in on stage with me. And I'm inspiring to you because you've given me the yes to be inspired, and I'm inspiring you, and you're inspiring me, and it's a symbiotic relationship. If I don't have that symbiotic relationship that's all about explore and heighten, then there's no reason for me to be alive, because that's all that I'm doing, evolving. I'm on this planet to evolve, to change, to bloom and to blossom. And you're the ones that help you, being the rest of the people that are on the planet with me, to blossom with that. And if I just keep looking at you, and it goes back to the Buddhist thing of saying, because Buddhism, one of the beautiful things that I like about the reading I'm doing, right now I'm reading a Pema Chodron book, a second Pema Chodron book, is the idea that there are no walls between us. All of us in this room right now are in this room right now. You know, we're all here together, and we may think that we're different, but the moment that we go in, we're all parking our cars, and we think that we're not connected, but you know we're all parking our cars at the same time, right? We're all parking our cars, and we get out of our cars, and we're all getting out of our cars at the same time, and so that we're connected in that way. We're all parking our cars, getting out of our cars, walking in the door, we're walking our door the same way, and then we're in this room. Somebody farts in this room, we're all affected by it. You know what I mean? We're all connected in that way. When our friend Bo Jacobs, he lives in Hiroshima, and when Fukushima happened, he didn't know it until I called him up and said, dude, there was a major earthquake in Fukushima. And he said, was there? And then the fallout comes to California, and we're all together, y'all. You know what I mean? We're all together. We're all one. And if you don't think that we are, go into an elevator with somebody who hasn't showered in 2 days. And you're going to go, we're all together in this place. I'm not going to deny that there's any connection between all of us. We are. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. Good. What else?
Okay, well,
I'm
okay.
fucking
Right. So I studied Meisner technique and being connected with my partner, but it's made me sort of kind of get absorbed with them sometimes in improv scenes, and some of the things that, a lot of the stuff you worked on with us around holding on to your shit, has really helped me a lot. And so, you want to be affected, you want to be changed by your partner, but how do you and when do you hold on to your shit versus let go, and holding, and maybe you can explain to everybody who might not know what holding on to your shit is versus being changed.
Got it. Holding on to shit is a metaphor.
Yeah. Don't take the backwards.
Or do, if you want to, but know at one point you're going to have to let go of your shit. Holding on to shit, and it's so funny that you asked me that here, because I remember teaching here and somebody saying, it was probably you, saying something good, and it was probably you. And so I offered something in class, and one of your colleagues said, once you define it, it exists. And I held on to that concept, and I still hold on to it very strongly. The idea that when you define something, it exists. So the definition for me of holding on to your shit is, you walk into a scene and you define your emotional content at that moment. That's your emotional content. That becomes your point of view. I walk into a scene and I am joyful. And I am just totally, totally joyful. And that's my shit that I'm holding on to. And you are angry, or whatever it's going to be. And your anger, and you're cast as the angry woman, and I'm cast as the joyful guy. All right, I can't be the angry woman because I'm the joyful guy. Macbeth suddenly does not become Romeo. It's like I am that. That's me holding on to my shit, joyful, until something happens in that scene, and because I've defined my emotional content, something will happen, and I will emotionally change. And the moment I emotionally change, I surrender. And the important thing about the word surrender, and it's a Buddhist concept, and it's also a concept that Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith from the Agape Spiritual Center has said. It's the idea of, the definition of surrender is letting go of that which no longer serves you. And I think it's very important that we look at that. Listen to that phrase. Surrender, letting go of that which no longer serves you. The implication there is, something that I have has served me. I have used it, and now I have something else that has come up. That next thing that I have, I then hold on to my shit until that moment comes, and now I grab onto this shit, if you will, right? I grab onto the new shit. So the idea is that we do not live in lack, we live in abundance. And the actor and the human being, if you want, will always have that next thing that will bring them joy. If you want to say, like everybody right now, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, and let it go. Right? Good. Was there ever a moment that you looked at the person sitting next to you and go, you're breathing too deeply? There's not enough breath in this room. No, that's the way that spirituality is. There is always enough positivity in that. There's always enough energy in that. That whatever it is that I surrender, that next thing that I'm going to use is going to show up. And so the emotional content is, at that moment, hold on to my shit until I feel different. Now, the example that I've been giving lately about this is, you're at a party, and you're sitting there at the party, and you're thinking, you know what, it's time for me to go. I'm at the party, it's time for me to go. You're at the party, you're going, I'm going to go, I'm going to get going, I'm going to go. And in your mind, you're sitting here, and you know this feeling, you're sitting and you think to yourself, okay, where did I put my coat? Unless you live in LA, and you just think, where did I park my car? And you go, where did I put my coat? Okay, my coat's over there. How did I get into this room? Okay, and then I walk down the hall, and there's an elevator, and then I take the elevator downstairs, and then I go to my car, and you're thinking about all those thoughts that human beings think, and you're ready to go, and then the door opens, and this person comes in. And now you're going to stay. Do you know what I mean? At that moment, you let go of your shit. Because you no longer feel that way. Right?
Right.
And you surrender, and you don't go, oh my God, George Clooney just came in. Well, I said I'm going to go. I'm going to go. You don't do that. You let go of that which no longer serves you. that feeling of wanting to go served you in that moment, but at that moment you get to let go of that. And the great thing about that is to be aware, once you define it exists. My feeling is this. The ego comes in though and says, you can't feel that, or you're not supposed to feel that, or the scene needs to be more than this, or the scene needs more than this, or while you're outside that door, yesterday, you promised yourself that you were going to be funny. Well, don't bring fucking yesterday into today, because today is today. And when I'm with you in this moment, I'm not here with you to be yesterday. I'm looking at you and I need for you, because you and I have established this nowness, and everything that you're doing right now, the inventory that we have created right now, this pure inventory, that's what we have. And if you bring something in, I'm thinking, why did Virginia say that? We haven't established that. Everything that we've established together at this moment. And now you're bringing something else in, and I'm thinking, I don't know what to do with that. So at that moment, I now have that inventory of where did that come from, and I've got to figure out how to put that into sequence, and it usually is a discussion, a conversation, dialogue that deals with the past. And the past isn't the now. And if I'm dealing with the past, then at that moment I'm inventing something. And that's where the ego comes in. That's where I am no longer discovering, I am at that moment inventing. And if I'm inventing, I'm using my brain, which I know is a liar and an asshole, as opposed to my heart and my gut, which at that moment is all that matters in terms of my creativity. Am I making sense? Like everything that I do creatively has to do with my heart and my gut. It doesn't have to do with my brain, because my brain is the source of figuring shit out. And I don't want to figure anything out, because I'm here to just unfold, unfurl, and evolve. And that's not about figure. Like a tree doesn't go, I'm a tree. It just is a tree. A tree doesn't go, I'm a bird. It's like, no, you're a fucking tree, dude. You're a tree. You're a tree, and please be a tree.
Who's influenced your teaching and performing?
It's got to be that. Like that. I've heard that question before, and right now I'm going, it's got to be Buddha. That's crazy. Like right now, I never said that before, but it's got to be that. I mean, there are actors that I look at and I go, I really like that person, or I like that woman, I like the way that she acts, I like that he acts. But at the end of the day, and this is going to sound crazy too, I'm inspiring to me. I'm inspiring to me. And that's not me being, David's the greatest. It's like my life is my art project. And everything else that's around me, everybody inspires me. Driving inspires me. Today, I got to tell you, Southwest Airlines could not have been better than today. That inspired me. I got in line, we all went in, down, my coffee came, I got off the plane, we were 20 minutes early. I had Wi-Fi at the airport, the bus was there, I talked to a guy on the shuttle who told me about the new rail that was taking you right. I was like, great, he was excited about it. I got off of there, I took the wrong train, and then I got on the right train, but on the wrong train was really great. I got on the right train, I got off, a woman said, do you know where Bruno Street is? I said, no. She goes, neither do I. I went, great, it's a beautiful day. She goes, yeah, I'm just gonna get lost. I was like, me too. And then I went, and that's what the fuck happened.
You said this vision you two had an adventure together.
We did have an adventure together, apart, together. I'm sure she's okay. You know what I mean? But in that way, I'm going, we are all on this planet, and at that moment, I had no idea who she was. And there was a guy that got off the train, and we were both like, God, he's in a hurry. And we're like, yeah. And I said, I'm glad I'm not in that hurry. And she goes, neither do I. I'm so glad I'm not either. And then I went to a farmer's market, and all that they had were oranges. What the fuck is wrong with what? All right, good. I'm on an apple. Not apple time. You know what I mean? Like, you want to look at it going, I can look at people and go, okay, Dustin Hoffman was on Fresh Air yesterday with Terry Russ, Fresh Air. And like he was on that, and it's like, I heard certain things that he said, and I really wrapped my head around that. And he talked about Mike Nichols, and I really loved that. And he talked about movies that he's been in, and I love that. And he talked about Robert De Niro. And I saw Robert De Niro last week. I saw him speak. And it's like, that's fucking Robert De Niro. It's like, okay. Great. I was in a movie called Mo Money, and Marlon Wayans was, we went to went to an after party, and Marlon Wayans he's like, yeah, and he and I hit off in the movie. We did a scene together, and this guy named Bob came up to us, and he was like a schlumpy guy, and we talked, and he introduced me to Bob, and great, we walked away, and then Marlon Wayans goes, wait, De Niro sometimes looked like such a slob. I just met Robert De Niro. I had no idea. I had no idea. I met Barbara Eden, and I was like, I used to get a boner from her. And like, I met her, I shared a cab with her once. And it's like, oh, right, that's Barbara Eden. It's like, that was Barbara Eden. I don't know who people are. Right!
Yeah.
Too much information.
I think a lot
Never
of
say,
people,
no, I should never say I shared a cab with anybody.
Yeah.
Oh. Means a lot of people here got boners from Barbara.
I know, right?
Myself included.
I know, when you look at somebody and go, oh my God, how could you possibly be?
Just makes you relatable.
I know, that's what I think, because right now I'm not relatable. God, Dave Razowsky is so hard to get along with. Yeah.
Well, you've taught improv for 15 years? Is
No.
that more than that?
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. That was off your resume.
I know, but the resume doesn't change unless I change it.
Oh, way more than that.
Yeah, no, I taught improvisation for 28 years.
28 years.
28
Makes
years.
it really out. You
I
gotta
know.
update that.
I don't do anything. Right, 28 years. Yeah.
Well, other than what you've already shared, or even expand on that, but what are the very most important things that improvisers that you notice that your students really need to get, or to not
These
necessarily
days-
know, but get?
These days, again, it has nothing to do with how much information you have. Like, people will come to my drop-in class and they'll say, what information do I need? I know I'm repeating myself here. But it's just like, I just need for you to know that you don't need to do anything but bring your presence to it. And as I've been doing this, I've really been thinking a lot about that. For a while there, I was thinking, what makes me different? What makes my teaching different than anybody else's teaching? And when you've been teaching as long as I've been teaching, you really want to say, what's my niche? What's my thing? And what I realized was, my thing is this. It's really kind of cool, and I came up with it. I realized it last year. I am here to remind you what it feels like to be inspired. That's what I am here to do. Because we talk about what it is that we learn, but we don't talk about what that feeling is of inspiration. The moment that that door opens and that person comes in, you're inspired. You're walking down 8th or 9th. What is it, Laura? 9th? How's the kitchen? 9th. You're walking down 9th, and you're going, I'm going to know what restaurant I'm going to go in when I find it. And you're opening yourself up towards, you're playing the game of what's going to happen. What's that feeling? So you define the feeling that you're hungry. And then you're walking down the street and you're going, I'm going to find the restaurant that I'm going to go in when it hits me. And to play that game with yourself. And so in that moment you go, no, 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 and then you go, there. Because you're physiologically you change, your breath is changed, your heartbeat changes, and you suddenly, at that moment, everything comes in line. And what comes in line in that moment, everything comes in line. Because you see a woman opening the door with a menu in your hand. You look at the table in that moment and go, I can sit at that table. You smell something coming in, and in that moment you're going, I can get my vodka, I can get my red wine, I can get my shrimp, I can get my dessert, and I can get out of here. And at that moment, we've got to remember that that's called inspiration. That's called creativity. And we do it every day. What you're dressed in right now, you were inspired by that. You didn't go, yes, no. You went, no, 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 no. Or you went, there, that. That we are living our lives every moment inspired. And I'm reminding you what that's like. Like you coming over here, again, I don't know if you drove over here, but when you drive over here, you would go, not that space, not that space, not that space, that space. That's creativity as well. That's inspiration as well. That is an outpouring of your artistic life in that moment. And what I'm here to do is to remind you that what I'm here to do is to share with you that. Because I'm not here to do anything other than to share. So I'm here to share with you all of that. And because I'll look at you and go, I know what you're doing, I know what you're doing. And so many people in my class would go, how did you know that I was thinking of that when you're up here? And I go, I'm you. Because I'm you. And at that moment I'll watch you and I'll say, you were changed. And if you're in my class tomorrow, you're going to go, I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to go, you're changed in that moment. You're changed in that moment. And you cannot deny it because I'm watching you. I'm watching you. And I want you to watch you. I want you to go, I was feeling, my heartbeat was at this and now it's not. Now it's that. And that has to fucking matter. Because if I pass that restaurant by, I'm not going to not want to be in that restaurant. Because any restaurant past that point, I'm not going to be present to it because I'm going to go, I really need to go to that restaurant. That's the restaurant I got to go to. That's the restaurant. Why didn't I go to that restaurant? And you're not going to be present to it because your inspiration said that one, that one, that one, that one. And if you don't go into that, it doesn't make it go away. It makes it just that you didn't do that. And you're going to have to surrender that. So you might as well jump the fuck all over that and get in there and shrimp it up and vodka it and Cabernet the shit out of it and get your fucking cake and pay too much money. And then walk away and go, I paid too much money, and yay! Because you know why? I live in abundance. There's going to be more money.
I'm all over that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tomorrow you're going to say, you were changed, Virginia. And I was like, oh, I'm fighting it again.
I know, but
Or
you know,
not.
but you know what? Or not. Or not. And you're working on it too. It's a work in progress, right? It's a work in progress. And we get to give ourselves slack about that because it's a practice. You're not going to get it right. Because nobody says, oh, that's a perfect improviser. It's like saying, you know what? She is the perfect meditator. Man alive, I mean, she's able to let that go, and then she has thoughts that come in, and then they go. She does not attach herself to any of that. And 20 minutes, like, boom, she's fresh. Like, nobody fucking cares. The best yoga person, the best improviser, you know, we're all the same. You know what the book is called? Everyone Poops.
Yes.
But it's not. It's wrong. Why isn't it called Everybody Poops? No, see, it's called Everyone Poops.
Everyone poops.
That's fucked up. I'm not buying that book anymore. 6 copies I've had.
It should be everybody poops.
It's Everybody Poops because that's what it is. It's not like my one pooped. My body pooped. Stupid book. My favorite book is Good Dog Carl. You know that book? You guys know that book? Oh, it's a Rottweiler. I just put down my Rottweiler a couple weeks ago. Greatest experience ever. Greatest experience ever. And again, it's that emotional experience. It's that the improvisation experience. The idea that we are just the energy that we have in that scene. And the moment that my dog goes away, just like his body went away, he didn't go away. And he's still here. He is here right now. He's everywhere that I go.
I noticed something on my leg.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, he wouldn't pee on your leg.
No.
He
was
He would just lean up.
He was
Anybody that has a Rottweiler knows they're all about leaning. It's about the leaning. Yeah, whose turn is it?
Is there a turn?
I don't know.
Okay. But there's a lot of folks here tonight who are improv folks or actors.
We won't hog him.
But even if you're not, we don't want to hog him. So are there any questions for David from the audience?
And the questions can be like, what kind of car do you drive? Or,
What's your favorite color?
Right. Or where do you get that
favorite
shirt? Right. Kind of meat?
Yeah. No, you're not going to a butcher.
No. Wait, hold on, my favorite kind of meat. I'm going to say it's like, yeah.
Hi. You used the word viewpoints.
Yeah.
Like it's a technical term.
It is.
I'm not familiar with that. Could you explain?
Viewpoints was, how many viewpoints did Mary Overly start?
Mary Overly has 6 viewpoints, and Anne Bogart turned it into 9 viewpoints. In
Anne Bogart and,
No, Anne
just Anne
Bogart,
Bogart.
period.
So there are 6 viewpoints. I'm sorry, there are 9 viewpoints, but there are a couple more now, right?
There. Do you want to talk?
No. I love that you're here. This woman, Anne Bogart, Mary Overly, had 6 viewpoints. And the viewpoints are essentially based in dance. And then this woman, Anne Bogart, took them, and she made 9 viewpoints out of them. The viewpoints describe, I know that this sounds hyperbolic, but describes everything. Like everything that everyone is doing. It's the idea of once you define it, it exists. Like I would look at you, you're nodding at me, that's gesture. You're using this, that's gesture. Your leg is going up and down at a certain tempo, that's one of the viewpoints. You guys are sitting in the chair, you've got your arms crossed like that. You're in shape. We are this far away, that's spatial relationship. You guys are sitting in chairs, that's architecture. So there are a few more than that, but once you define it exists, and we get to fuck with those things when we do improvisation, but it's also about theater. Tina Landau, who is also, she's a member of Steppenwolf Theater Company, so she has worked with a lot of Steppenwolf, so a lot of the shows that you see at Steppenwolf have at the foundation all of that work. And I cannot recommend enough to follow that. I work at, and Laura will be working there as well, at the California Summer Arts Festival in Monterey this year. And we're going to be doing a month-long workshop with, I teach with Steppenwolf Theater Company. If you're interested in that, I would go to California, I would go to the Summer Arts Festival.
CSUsummerarts.org.
CSUsummerarts.org, and at that will be information about the California Summer Arts Festival, working a month-long program with Steppenwolf Theater Company. And it's a life changer. It is a life changer because it makes you present. It reminds you of your presence. It reminds you of what it is that you're doing every single moment. The fact that I'm sitting here in this, like this, and my hands are like that. I am very aware of it because you are being inspired by everything that I'm doing in this moment. And if I know that you're inspired by everything, and not just because I'm inspiring, but also you're inspiring as well, and everything that you're doing right now, you're nodding, you're looking at me, your glasses, your beard, everything that you're doing, the way that your hand is, the way that your arm is over here, all of that is inspiring to me, so that the moment that you do this, I go, wow, something huge just happened. That! Does that make sense? Right, good. Yes, yes.
So then how do you reconcile, as you're performing, having that sort of stepping back and looking in and saying, okay, this is what the audience sees, having that sense of theatricality versus, what's going on right here just in an emotional sense?
I never, ever think about what the audience sees.
Okay.
I never think about it. I never care about it. I don't care. And the reason that I don't care. I really don't care. What I care about is I am present with my partner in that moment. That's all that matters in that moment. If I start thinking about the audience, I will go crazy. Because I will start thinking about how many of you are Republicans, and it's really going to fuck me up, at that moment, because it's that idea of what are your expectations, and your expectations have nothing to do with me at all, because your expectations do not, like you being the audience, your expectations do not drive me towards my creative process. My emotions at this moment drive me toward my creative process. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. When you were describing the points of view, it sounded
The
like
viewpoints?
an external. Yes.
There is an external only because there's a codification of it and a definition of those things. And so the moment that you do this and this and this and this and this, I have an expectation that you're going to do that, and the moment that you stop doing that, you've changed.
No, that makes sense. I was interpreting it as, yeah.
Great.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. What else? Yeah.
What have you done internationally?
I was a director at Boom Chicago in Amsterdam, theater in Amsterdam. That is a 300-seat dinner theater doing 8 shows a week. And I went there in 2000 and I looked at their space, and it was like this, but times 5. And it was the same sort of setup. And I said, you guys have a bar, you have a restaurant. What you need you need a green screen room, you need a studio, you need 2 video projectors, you need a T1 line, and you need to just hook yourself up so that you are a live studio. And that's what they did. And I was like, wow. And then they did it. But they did it. They said yes, which blew me away. Just blew me away. When I said, you know what would be cool? Is if you have a trampoline on stage. And I was kidding. And the next day there were 2 professional trampolines in the floor with a door that you opened up for it. It's like, why the fuck are there trampolines? You said it. It's like, I was drunk stoned. Well, we got them there, and they're there right now. They're still there underneath carpeting. Oh, they had carpeting. I'm like, carpeting on stage? Why would you do that? Get rid of the carpeting. So they Anyway, here's another thing. They said, I remember going to a party, and I remember the next day some guy named John Rosenfeld calling me up and going, so what do you think? And I'm like, what do I think about what? And he said, what do you think about going to Amsterdam? And I said, who are you? And I said, yesterday we had a long conversation about it at this party. I was like, party? So that's how that happened. I did that, and I was in Norway, and I've taught in Ireland, and my life is really great because, again, going back to the keep saying yes to these things, keep saying it. And there's also the concept, and whether you believe it or not, there's a concept of manifestation, the idea that I want to go to Europe. This year I said, I want to go to Europe, and I'm going to go to Europe because I said I want to go to Europe, and then I put it out there. What do you want to do? Let the world know, because the world wants to help you. The universe is here working with you. It's not working against you. What else? Yeah.
I've taken a couple of workshops for you. You have this tendency to get people at levels that they're not really used to or comfortable with. And I think it's the difference between acting and improvisation.
Yes.
And pretty much I'd say these 90% of the scenes, people get there, and then instead of going, over the top to where the magic is, they pull back.
Yes.
And how can you recommend people take that extra step? And
it's a practice. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm talking about because you've been there. But it's a practice. It's the idea of the moment that you realize, like, I've never been to this space, and you're going, whoa, 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 and you go, well, yeah, I understand. But I cannot I cannot unwoe you. The moment that you see that bourbon is good, you're going to want that more. You know what I mean? Like, I can't take you back, and all the time you're just striving for it. We're all striving for, okay, I've done this before, and I just love it so much. So it's the first kiss, which is just such a wonderful feeling. It's that idea of, yeah, that movie was great. Yeah, that movie was great. The movie was really great. What do you think about this restaurant? It's really good. Yeah, I like this restaurant too. Yeah, me too. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be, what? What? You. Okay. So I was saying that, what were you saying? I was saying that, I was just, I never kiss, but it's that feeling of the moment that first kiss, that feeling that the first kiss is there, you're like, I want to fucking get that feeling again, I want to feel that way again, I want to feel that way again. So I can't push you in any way that you're not going to go. All that I can do is expose you to that. And I think there are a lot of improv teachers that won't expose you to that because they don't know it. They don't know that they can expose themselves to that. But the people, when you see TJ and Dave, that improv group, when you see those people, Beer Shark Mice, when you see those people improvise, you go, that's the standard. I want that. I want that. And to watch that is just so beautiful. Because once, what's the phrase that once they've been away from the farm, they can't, the city, what, can't, fish can't get back. And the farm is gonna be, right. But you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm so glad to see you too. Because I just see you virtually. Nice to see you. What else? Yes?
So, what I'm wondering about is you talk a lot about being present and just being present. How do you reconcile that with a more structured form?
I don't care about form.
Okay.
Because
I know you've done them though.
I've done forms, but within that form, I will live within that form.
Okay.
But I will live within the Herald, or I will live within. I will live within the Herald. But the form does not make the scene. And the form does not make the scene. The emotion and the actor's connection with themselves and each other make the scene. And I think what happens so often is that we're teaching the form, or we're teaching the structure, or we're teaching the house that people live in, but we're not letting those people be in that house. So I always talk about the form saying, okay, the exposition is the house that the characters live in, who, the what, and the where. I am a doctor. I'm a doctor. I work in a hospital, and it's the 4th of July. Okay, that's just the structure that I live in, but the characters but that's just the house that I live in. Those are all facts. But really, I go to theater to see the truth. And every scene will start in fact and then go to truth. Because that's what it's about. I don't care about, I love Mark Sutton's line about, nobody walks away from an improv scene going, they fixed the bike. Nobody cares. And it's such a great line, because it's so true. Because nobody can remember, oh yeah, right, they solved that problem. They're going to go, you know what? He said how much acid he does. They're going to remember that. They're going to remember like he was open to that. Right? Yeah. But it's a practice. And every time that you're in a scene, you get to go, I could practice this right now. I could practice my presentness right now. It's just a structure. Right? And that's the greatest thing. That you and I will have this discussion, whereas if I'm sitting next to you on a bus, I'm not going to have this discussion with you. I don't know why. I will, I promise. I have to get on a bus. What else? What else? Anything? Yeah.
Earlier, you were talking about doing work with actors, and you like to see with them. Is that as compared to like working with an improver?
No, this is what I think. All improv is acting. All of it's acting. And what we have to remember is, we are improvisers. We are actually improvisers. We are actors who improvise. Because if you just want to think of yourself as an improviser, you're not going to move forward at all. Because improvisers have 3 emotions. They have lust, anger, and lust-anger. Like they don't have anything else, because they have to make a joke. But if you call yourself an actor, if you say, I'm an actor who improvises, at that moment I get to play with you because you've got thousands of years behind you. You have vulnerability behind you. You have openness behind you. You have an idea that you are here to experience something that you've never felt before. Because most improvisers go, oh, okay, this is a scene in a doctor's office, so this has to be a doctor and a patient, or 2 people in a waiting room. But that doesn't have to be that way at all. Not at all. You look at Waiting for Godot, like what the fuck is that about? That's a great improv scene, but it's not. It's a written piece. When you look at Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, that play goes all over the place with all these characters doing what it is that they're doing. But that can be an improv show that I've done before. And it has been with people that I love to work with. Mark Sutton and I did a 45-minute show together, one scene. And when I think about that piece that I did, and it's online, on Vimeo, I think, at the Vancouver Improv Festival. When I think about that, I remember the set that we had, I remember the Torino in the front, I remember the refrigerator that was broken, I remember the screen door, I remember the sink on the inside. Well, there wasn't any of that. None of that was there. None of that was there. It's what I remember because it became a truth to me in that moment, because Mark accepted me in that moment. He accepted that truth in that moment. And we made that happen. And I do not remember what that set looks like. I remember what it looks like, but I don't remember what it looks like. There must have been a box, and maybe there was a riser, and I think there were 2 chairs. There was a Torino. There was a bale of hay. There was a screen door, and there was a gravel driveway. But there wasn't any of those things. But I said yes, and he said yes, and then we made that great thing.
And an unrelated question about your writing. Do you do any, I know you don't watch TV, but I often see TV episodes and I wonder what it's like and how difficult it is to write something that has to get to a specific ending point.
I don't write. I mean, if I write, it's more along the lines of, what the fuck is wrong with those people? And it's less than 140 characters. But I don't look at that stuff. I mean, I don't watch those things. I don't watch it. When it comes to things that I've done at Second City, it's usually, at that time we would write because we would speak it and we would hone what it is that we were saying, our points of view, and then direct it towards, so my point of view was this and their point of view was that, but we'd never look at anything like that. What was your question? Well, tell me your question, because there was something about the ending.
Well, like in television, you might have a show, and at the end of the show, everybody has to be okay.
Right.
But they're taking sometimes a great episode, but you are really sick. You're going to die.
Right.
There is no saving you,
right.
But you have to be everything because you're like the lead.
Well, the issue really is that television is about commerce, it's not about art. And I've mentioned this before. And for me, I think I mentioned this as well, Gilligan's Island for me is 4 episodes. And that's it. It's 4 episodes. It's like the 3-hour tour, they get on the island. All right, they're on the island. And then the next episode is they're on the island, somebody comes by to try to help them, Gilligan fucks up and they're stuck on the island. The 3rd episode is they wake up, they're on the island, somebody tries to rescue them on the island, Gilligan fucks up and they're stuck on the island. The 4th episode is they wake up before Gilligan wakes up, they beat the fuck out of him, they kill him, somebody comes by, rescues them, and they're off the island. But you can't have that because it's television. So it has to be that's Gilligan, little buddy. They'll fucking stab you while you're sleeping. You know what I mean? So like, I don't care. Like what else? Yeah.
What kind of car do you drive?
I drive a Prius. I'm that guy. I have a Prius, I have a MacBook Pro, I've got an Apple, and
I didn't ask you what you said.
I know, I'm telling you anyway.
You're oversharing.
I know. What else, you guys? What else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you, I'm curious as to what you sort of generally consume, like in terms of reading and like media and what you encourage your actors to do. You just encourage them to, consume as much as possible or certain things?
I think consume as much as possible. I consume as much as possible. The websites that I read are New York Times, Huffington Post. It's not as much as possible, but New York Times, Huffington Post. But I'm also reading Pima Chodron's book. I read as many books. I read so few books on improvisation. There's a couple of improv books that I'm in the dedication, and they spell my name wrong, so I don't read those. But I go to as much. I like to go to Los Angeles County Museum of Art. I do collage work, so I step away from all that when I can. I cook a lot of meals at home. The TV that I do watch is, I do like Downton Abbey. I like, right? I like Downton Abbey. I like Boardwalk Empire. I love Hell's Kitchen because it's an improv show. It's about somebody looking, Chef Ramsay comes in and says, why are you saying no? Why are you denying? Like all that. He's an improv coach.
He says fuck a lot.
And he what?
He says fuck a lot.
And he says fuck a lot, but it's bleeped out. And I think he's a smoker, which I'm not. But I watch a lot of improv, but I also notice life. I think it's really important to notice life. I will sit and be present as much as I can with people, and as often as I can. And again, it's a practice to not be judgmental, to look at somebody and not be judgmental of them. And that's the most inspiring thing that I can do, is to look at that and to be connected to that. Because I think that we as actors who improvise, we don't have to live with blinkers on. We don't have to say no to these things. We get to say yes to everything. And here's a secret: everybody gets to say yes to everything, but we get to pretend that doesn't. We get to live our lives like that, and we get to live our lives fully and wholly and alive and connected. And that's the most inspiring thing to me. And also to know that if I'm talking to you, you're about to tell me something that I have never thought of. And I am never eager to talk. I'm always eager to respond. And I live my life in that way. Because if I'm eager to respond, you're about to tell me something I don't fucking know. How great is that? I don't have to read a book about it, because you're already here. I don't have to watch TV and know what the ending is going to be, because I know what the ending is going to be. Let's stop there.
Auditions coming up on the 23rd and the 30th at 8 p.m. here, so you can take classes. I also have some tickets to our drop-in class, so good for 2 free drop-in classes on Tuesday nights here at 8 o'clock. So if you'd like some, just come in.
Great.
Or raise your hand.